Okay, back to reality. Hello, guys. I was listening to a little bit of love music, and I'm on the phone with my dear friend Edie or Edna. And this episode is really about how Cupid kind of misses the mark when it comes to picking someone for you. So, the love music was basically my hopes and dreams of finding love again. While Edie, how do you feel about finding love again after you introduce who you are? I'm LaDonna Raeh.
Well, I'm Edie, and I wouldn't say I'm a cynic for love, but I just, at this moment in my life, and this point in my life, I just don't think love should be complicated. I should think it should be easy. And therefore, I'm just doing my own thing. And if Cupid's arrow strikes, then so be it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Okay, so I know we started off with just a little bit of funny music and and hope. I mean, I'm so hopeful, and I did not feel this way say a year ago. So I've been divorced for about 3 years, going on 4. I remember when I got my divorce, I was so excited, not because I was happy about being divorced, but I felt like, okay, there's hope for me to kind of, embrace being independent again, right? So over time, I did not realize that against my will, like many years ago, I said, I'm never gonna let the next man pay for what the last man did to me. And let's just say that it's not even based on that, because as you all know, I had a show with my ex-husband. We used to get on here and talk about how we co-parented and worked together as still a family, a team, in separate households and not married. However, I did feel apprehensive about saying I do again until I realized something. I am meant to be a wife. That's just how I feel. I'm meant
Hmm.
to be a wife. And if I'm meant to be a wife, that means that I'm meant to have a husband, not the one I had. I think Cupid was kind of aiming aimlessly. Okay. But, you know, and Edie, you too have been married.
Yes, I got divorced 13 years ago, and I was married for a very long time. I basically, in overall, between business and marriage, we were together for like 26 years, doing, working together or in our marriage or relationship together. And I mean, I don't really see it as, again, I think love is kind and it's simple. And I'm totally meant to be a wife and a mother. Totally. The only thing is that I'm also not going to compromise on certain principles. I just won't. So I was in a different relationship. I did the majority of everything. So I don't think it's because of that relationship why now I am not really pursuing another relationship or a romance or anything. It's because I'm, I guess, comfortable, but I'm happy where I'm at with myself in that way. And there's other parts of my life I have to work on. But even no, nonetheless, I pick and choose my time carefully now, where to invest my time. And I don't want to right away. I sum it up and I'm like, okay, no, not going in that direction. I'm not going to see that person or even give them a chance because right away I can tell it's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of the energy that I generate in that direction. I'm taking away from the people I love and the areas of my life that are worth it more. When someone's worth it and they show me up, then fine. Does that
Hmm.
make sense?
It does. It does. Um, I remember when I met you, you were married. You were a wife and mother. Our kids were kind of the same age. And I watched you because I was single. I was a single young mom at the time. And I watched you take care of your household and take care of your husband. I watched you take care of many people, and I took notes. I learned a lot from watching you. We actually, I think we learn a lot from watching people that are in position that we wish to be in. Because at that time, I wanted to get married, but I had said yes and no to a few people, and I just didn't do it. I was afraid to make the wrong decision. I felt like I wasn't equipped to make the right decision. And I just want to say kudos to you for being a great example of being a wife, because I did see that, and I got some ideas. Now I still ended up in divorce, but that doesn't mean I didn't learn or I didn't know better. It means that I'm glad I surrounded myself with people like yourself. So, thank you very much.
Oh, well, you gave me a lot of strength, a lot of you gave me perspective on boundaries, because there are a lot of things that you didn't tolerate that I over tolerated stuff, as you know.
Yeah.
But you gave me those lessons, what not to tolerate and what to. And honestly, I admired you for just how you were with the boys, and just like homework and just certain disciplines that was difficult for me with, you know, it was reasonable for it to be difficult to me because I was spread in so many different areas. And at a certain point, like my daughter was sick and certain things like that, my
Yeah.
kids. So, but let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
I don't see the reason, like, I'm just going to ask you this. What is it about? Why need another person? I mean, I know it sounds horrible, but why look for love? What is it?
Oh
Like,
boy.
let me tell you something. After being with somebody for that long, I love sleeping alone. Like, I love it. I love that I can put my coffee cup anywhere I want to and nobody's there to nag me. I love the freedom and that. I mean, if I were to have a relationship, I would not be able to compromise in those areas anymore, because I don't want to change who I am. Why do you want love? What is it? Is it something missing? Is it something? What is it?
I don't I want let me just clarify some things. I'm not looking. Okay, let's be clear. I'm not looking for anything. I'm hoping that I've changed my prayers. I changed my prayers to say, God, please put me in position to be in the presence of the person that you've prepared for me. That is my specific prayer daily. Except on Tuesdays, I forget. But lo and behold, I just don't want to having for me, I what I like about being in a relationship, an actual relationship, not a push and pull, not nothing toxic. I've been lucky. I have had some really decent people that I've been in relationships with. And when I say decent, just not ill-willed individuals, um people that are just, the scum of the earth. I have not dated those people. Okay. So, but I've dated some people that have had some baggage and some anger and some things that they brought along with them that they didn't know how to unpack. So I kind of had to get to the realization that I am not going to act as the TSA. Okay, when you go through the airport, they go through all your bags, X-ray them, and pull out what's not allowed, right? I'm not going through your stuff. Okay, you know what I really want to say, because I at this age, maybe in my 20s we can kind of unpack it together. Maybe in our 30s you unpack some, I unpack some, but in my 40s I'm not unpacking any of your stuff because I've unpacked my own. I feel like whatever you have dealt with, there's therapy, there's church, there's prayer, there's, reflecting, self-reflecting that you need to go through before you even think about presenting yourself to someone else and possibly being there forever. So at this point in my life, that's where I'm at. Now, why do I hope for love is because I
Yeah, what are
love
you hoping for?
yeah, I hope to be able to say I love you. I want to hear I love you too. I want to say I love you too. Um, I like having, pillow talk. I do love that. But I also like having a partner. So when I say,
Why?
well, because having a
No,
having
seriously, why?
no, I hear you. You sound really upset about this.
No, not at all. But why? No, I mean, like, I get it. I get it. but like I don't feel that loneliness. That I don't feel that.
I didn't say lonely. I
No,
said
no,
I
I'm
look
saying
forward to
that
having a
we get.
partner.
No, I know, but I don't. I call it loneliness, but I'm saying I don't feel what I'm curious because I'm missing that gene
Okay.
of like the part, like to me it's like I know what it feels like because I wanted that when I was younger and everything. But I'm saying why what is it about a partner? Like I guess here's the thing. I have such amazing kids. They're like I have companionship, I guess that's it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
And like you know, my loved ones, my friends, you know, I I I definitely surrounding myself with positive people right now in my life. And I have those partnerships, that companionship. But the other, I mean, like to me, oh, here's the thing. I mean, you remember my friend Marcy, you know,
I do.
and Marcy and I, and even Terry and I, or whatever, we, and you and I, we talk about things like, okay, like, why is it so easy for us to be friends? But in a relationship, it's why is it so hard? Why can't it should be the same way? Does that make sense? It's just with obviously a different type of
But you
relationship,
have
you know?
years with Marcy and myself and Terry. I mean, those are years. Those are years of deciding. Here's the thing. I know we all say that here's the
No, we
thing,
had
right?
fun. We had fun and
I
we
know,
enjoyed it. I didn't think we,
but Edie, let me
and
just
I didn't follow you around and criticize you on your coffee or your whatever. You know what I mean? That's the truth. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't do that. You know?
this is true. I'm gonna push this back a little bit. This is true. You didn't follow me around to complain about my coffee, but whatever quirks you had or habits you had that I could see, I chose to accept them. And we developed from there, quirks and
But I guess
all.
that's my point.
Yeah. I think
That's my
that in a relationship, men have this ideal of an individual and they think that that's going to be you throughout 100%, and that is unrealistic expectations. You know, you have to know what you're getting into before you get in it. You have to go to a person's home. You have to see that person, how they treat people in public, how they treat you in public. You have to see how they eat dinner, how they treat their children, how they treat their family. That tell
I
or this
I
tells you a lot
I get
about
that.
them.
I think that's all things that yeah, we all know that. But the
Not
personality,
everyone knows that.
the reality, no, I think we do. I think we do.
We
The
do.
reality is I think most people do know. I think but they're stunned when it like changes and dynamic changes. And I understand the expectation thing and everything, but like, okay, for instance, my son has an amazing relationship with his girlfriend and they discuss everything and I mean, I'm sure it's not perfect. There's things I don't know, but I'm saying like, there's such an example of a healthy relationship is not even funny. Like they talk, there is no preconceived notions of what one should do over what the other should do. And they're there for each other. They're very supportive of each other. They, I think a lot of relationships go into it, their preconceived notions of that person. And then when that person becomes vulnerable and like, let's say they are sad or they get upset about something or something like that, I think partnerships become less forgiving when they start to see that person human side who they are instead of valuing those things and saying, okay, these are not deficits. These are assets that make them who they are. These are the struggles that they've endured and the result of those struggles or whatever. And that's what made them so strong and so brave and so kind and so loving, seeing the good in that person. I think, I think it's a lot of work. I think relationships are a lot of work. Am I willing to do the work? Yeah, but it's like, okay, we were talking earlier about like profession, right?
Mhm.
So, and where I said the rows, like, you could have different professions. Was I talking to you about that? Maybe not. I don't know.
There
But
wasn't.
anyways, you have experience, right? You have experience in your profession. You're like, I'm not going to go back to like when I was 20 and invest in a relationship in that way anymore. This is not going to happen. There's too
Right.
much work. You
Right.
know what I mean? You were talking about baggage earlier. It's not, I don't think it's baggage. I think it's people. I think now, no matter if you're 20 or if you're 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever you are, I think it's pretty simple. I'm a human, you're a human. You like the things you like. I like the things I like. I do the things I do. Nobody's killing somebody. Nobody's doing, as long as we're good, like they're safe, they're good people like that. They're not, I think that's the thing. I think a lot of relationships creep up on us and we find out things that are deal breakers later on too. And I think it just takes a lot of work to have to go through that. And to me, let's put it this way. I'd be open to a relationship if you just meet somebody just like I meet anybody else. And we start just like the way we met and how we hung out and everything. And we've been friends for a long time, I'd be open to that. I think there's no reason why it can't be like that.
Yeah, but
Okay.
also we don't
I
have the
do think,
complication. We don't have the complication of we've never slept together. You know what I'm saying? Like the
no,
complication
what I'm
of
saying, it's,
yeah. I
yeah,
mean
but
that
that's,
complicates things. It does. You kind of don't know which way to go from there in a lot of cases. I don't it takes me a long time to get to that point. Usually it does because I don't want to ruin it.
see, but okay, right there, right there, right there. That is an issue.
What's an issue?
You don't want to ruin it. You're not ruining anything. You can't, like, that's people, those are the preconceived notions. It's like people go into it and then it creeps up on them. It's nobody's fault or anything, but they start doing things and adapting to what they want instead of just being themselves. So it can manifest, it can just naturally be created to what they want. I think that's the difference between how we met and our friends and everything happened in a relationship. I think we start to adapt because we want it to work out so bad.
Hmm.
We don't want to ruin it.
But do we want it to work out so badly with someone that is not deserving of it working
That
out with?
we lose sight of that.
Yeah.
We lose sight. It's kind of like an interview, right? They say go into an interview, right? Well, a lot of people don't interview the person who's interviewing the company.
This is true.
You got to interview them.
Yeah.
And you've got to kind of accept the fact that, yeah, you might get rejected, but you'll get rejected for the right reason. And it sucks, but you walk away and you go, okay, I shouldn't have been there. That's not my space. It's not the place for me.
Yeah.
And
This is
here's
true.
the thing too. It is researching, like I research a company or whatever, or people research companies before they interview and everything. And they look at, but you can never find out for sure because what are people, it's the same, it's all different relationships in life and it's all different marriages. So what is the relationship there, right? The relationship is basically like, you don't know, they're, it's like social media. They put it out there that they're a certain way, but that's not who they really are.
Mm.
So it would be nice if we had some assistance in relationship. We have all these, apps and everything like that. What if we had apps that showed the way a person really was? That'd be great.
There is an
But
app. There is an app for that.
What is it?
You go into the person's past and say, "Hey, I need you to set up a meeting with your last 3 ex-girlfriends. I need to talk to them on a conference call." There's your technology.
See, okay. See, now I'm not very happy about that.
Oh.
Okay, now that's like saying a disgruntled employer or a disgruntled employee can review you.
Would
No,
you
no,
would you rehire this person? Would you redate this person?
obviously not. They broke up.
Well, obviously not. They fired him.
What?
Huh? See, here's the thing. On a job, right? I'm referring to a job. Either you left the job or the job pulled the rug from under you. In the relationship, in your last relationship, either you left the relationship or they walked away from you. It could go either way. So you
But both
asking,
of those,
would
both
you
of those.
hire them? Would you hire them this person again? Can be they listed you because they walked away. You didn't tell them that they were late too many times or that they weren't doing their work or their productivity was down, because otherwise I wouldn't put you down as a reference or as a
But,
pre.
but that's like jumping into somebody else's relationship. That was their experience. That's not the same
Well, this
chemistry.
is true, but I still want. I've actually actually thought about talking to the ex-girlfriends. Now, I do have a habit of becoming friends with the ex-girlfriends. I don't do it intentionally. They just like me. You know what I'm saying? Like my ex-husband, I became friends with two of his ex-girlfriend. I mean, just not even intentionally. One was an attorney, and she wanted to help us in because he had a grocery store. She wanted to help us, with what we were working on with the city, and she stepped in, and we ended up inviting each other's kids to each other's birthday parties and stuff. Um, Another person he was used to date, I ended up taking her pictures. And then we became friends. What can I say? But at the same time, for me going forward, part of why we were bringing this even on, so this particular episode on, is we've always in the past and historically talked about, is there a Cupid? Is Cupid this little fairy dust image that, points someone in your direction? You guys lock eyes and suddenly you expect things to go happily ever after. That is unrealistic, because even in today's technological world with AI and GPS systems, even Cupid needs a software update. You know what I'm saying? He should be on point by now. What he used to choose back in the historical past is over with. He should be able to choose the right person for you. But at the same time, you have to not have a list of what you want in a person
Yeah,
only. You have to have a list of what you can offer.
that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. What can you offer? Like, you may want someone who's this, and this, but what can you offer? What can they work with?
Well, here's the thing. I think that's what attracts people to people, okay? Is what a person has to offer, you know? And oh my God, we could go into so many different areas. Like, first of all, like, I don't know why, but I've been told I'm intimidating. Well, why am I intimidating? Like, you know me. Like, I'm a goofball. That's all I am. And I really am accepting of people for who they are. So it's like, that's just my nature. That's my innate being, you know? It's just because I'm more concerned about my actions than somebody else's in a lot of ways. But I have boundaries now, which I've learned those boundaries. And there are I'm able to read people better now, because that's the thing. They come in disguise. It can creep up on you, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden you're in a relationship and you're like, oh, this is not the person that I thought they were, because then they're finally, kind of revealing it. People have different intentions. They're not, we think from our own point of view, and other people think from their point of view.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have agendas, so it does have to do with who we are, what our goals and ambitions are, and things like that. And we do try to surround ourselves with people who share in the same similar goals and ambitions and way of life, and mostly morals and ethics, and where we prioritize those, So, but back to my original question, not all this stuff. Why do you hope for someone? What is it about having someone? What was the difference between your life when you were with somebody, whether married or not, and not? What are the pros and cons? GPS it. Navigate this for me.
Yeah. I find that I am a caretaker of many. I have 4 sons, 2 are adults, and I have 2 at home. My mom and dad, and whomever else I choose to put in my arsenal of who I want to help take care of. But no one has capacity to possibly tell me to get some more sleep, or have you eaten, or be concerned, you know, and I will put myself on a back burner. Oh my goodness. I will put myself on a back burner so quick to take care of others. And I don't, it helps to have someone as an accountability partner that I can get a hug from. I'm very affectionate.
So
Um,
you want someone to love you
I
the
do.
way you love.
Yeah,
You want
like,
you want a give and receive, which I think is that me.
yeah,
You have
yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah.
You give,
I'm a,
you got to
yeah,
receive, you got to
yeah.
fill your cup, and you want to be treated the way you treat others, and that
Well,
That's
no, because I
exactly.
could be mean sometimes, but not to the person I love. I can I got a little mean streak in me when someone intentionally tries to hurt me. But uh really I just want to I really so I'm bursting like I just have so much love to give, right? I just want to give it to somebody.
Well, that's, I mean, I could totally get that. See, for me, okay, now you're making me think. Okay.
Right, right.
For me, I am the type of person who thrives on achievement. I just had an interview,
Mhm.
and in the interview, they were like, "What's your background and everything?" And I was
Mhm.
like, "Okay, well, I graduated early from high school. While I was going to high school, I went to college, then I started my own business, and blah 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 blah. You know all the achievements. You know, then became a marketing director for one of my clients, and blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? I moved on, and all the achievements. And they were like, "So you're an overachiever?" And I was like,
Where'd you
uh,
get that?
uh,
Over?
like an over, like, and I was like, well, like, okay, how cliche, first of all. And the
Mhm.
second thing was, what's an overachiever? Like, people say that as if it's like taboo. It's a
Mhm.
bad thing. And it's like, no, I'm just an achiever. I like
Mhm.
to do things and I like to think. I I like betterment. I like making myself better. I like improving myself. I like learning, you know that.
Mhm.
And and doing better for everyone around me.
Mhm.
So, and it's not, that's not my purpose, that's not my reason. I think when you enrich your environment and the people within your environment, you enrich yourself. It's that give and, receive. You know, um, I forgot where I was going with this. Um,
You overachiever, you.
oh, I like, yeah, I know, bad overachiever, but but I that's the type of relationship I want. Somebody who's ambitious, like who's like, hey, listen, like our relationship, like, come on, let's make this work. I've got this cool idea.
Mhm.
Let's do it together and let's succeed. And to me, succeeding is, to me, it's not a difficult process.
Mhm.
You know me. I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, concept, plan, finish, like achieve, keep going. What else can we do with it? I like creating things. I'm a creative person. I'm a creative thinker. And to me, I would love that. But that, I think that's a major component missing in relationships, is that that person is not, has no ambitions.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
not even just in, I'm using the example of business or opportunity in that way. It's not about the money, it's about the achievement. And to me, a relationship is the same way. Like, we like, what a huge achievement in our relationship, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Same with me, Carrie, with the kids and everything. When I look at, my kids, I'm like, wow, what a great achievement. Like, we really work together as a team, as a family, and we do so much. And
Mhm.
we listen to each other and we're
Mhm.
kind and respectful to each
Mhm.
other and considerate. It's just like, love is kind,
Right.
love is caring, love is patient. It's all of those things. And I just think it's, for me, as soon as there's someone interested, right away, I kind of see through the veil
Mhm.
and the intention.
Right.
They're not coming from the same place.
Right. And it's unfortunate because basically
I
the
kind of
reason
put that energy into something. To me,
Mhm.
I guess that's, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
No,
you,
no,
but
no.
that's a shortcoming on my part because I don't give, I, to me, I'm really about where I generate my energy. And I think that's because of past experiences, and I've learned from them, where partially, getting out of a relationship, it was like, okay, I'm giving all of this, and I give a lot to my children, but I'm giving all this to you, and it's being flushed down the toilet.
Mhm.
The more I give, the more you want. But my kids, even though they get tons, I'd rather give it to them more than you, because you don't appreciate it and it doesn't do anything for you.
Mhm.
You're just wanting, taking, and
Mhm.
you is an endless, it's just going into the abyss, and a lot
Mhm.
of relationship, that's the way. And I can see that right away. And I'm like, okay, no, I'm not doing that.
Well, I wanna touch on just the reason for the topic. The topic was not a LaDonna and Edie perspective, but you
Right,
know,
exactly.
right, but it's there's so many people out there that say, and I hear mixed reviews. I've been married, I don't want to do this again. I've been married and I believe in marriage and I want to do this again. So I've heard both ends of the spectrum, and it's 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 so convoluted that I think people just really have to understand what's best for them. You know,
Exactly.
what's
Right.
what's best for them. So for me, I listen to the dismay of, oh my gosh, I'll never do that again. Well, don't do that again with that person, but don't close
What is some
yourself off. I'm
what is
sorry.
some being married
Again?
that you think people feel? Yeah.
No, I didn't hear you.
What are some pros of being married that
Oh,
you think
pros of being married. I
yeah,
mean, everybody has their own experience. You work together. I for one, I've heard that, some people, they just like to hear or have someone else to bounce off of, well, not
yeah.
physically, but
So there's emotional,
verbally.
psychological benefits.
Absolutely. And there's also just companionship and having a legally required dance partner. Okay? That's one of mine.
Mhm.
Um the other thing is, when you have a two parent or two person household, one can fill in where the other one is unable. You can't be all things to all people, including yourself.
At all times, right?
Right.
So there's companionship, personal growth, right? Here's something that's cool. Second chances. Like to me, I don't believe that people, like a lot of people can't change, and obviously we've got so many different social issues, right?
Mhm.
But I do believe a lot of people do change, and you see it all the time online, as much as people like criticize social media and blah blah blah. But you do see people who are recognizing their like previous shortcomings in their experiences, and they've made the effort to share their stories or their who they are in order to help others identify what their behavior patterns are, like like narcissism, different things like that, right? And I do believe people change, and I think, but you got to change for yourself, obviously.
Right.
But I do believe you were going to say that. I do believe people change, but they change for themselves, and I think that's a crucial part that people look for in their relationships. You know, they want that person to be accountable for their actions and their behavior and recognize it. And I think that's the healthy example that like my son's relationship is that they are self-aware. I think you need to be self-aware in a relationship, and I don't find that in too many people,
Yeah, well,
when they're
at those young ages, you haven't had your heart broken yet, so it's
oh no,
probably, you
what
know,
young age?
uh,
Wait, you mean my son? He's 30.
yeah. Hey, that's young to me. Okay, that's young. I remember being that age. It was just a couple of years ago. But I remember being. I remember how I was in groups of women and some men where we talked about relationships. I'm always in these groups, right? And the conversations have evolved from being in your 20s to being in your 30s to being in your 40s, and some people that are in their 50s. The
Well,
convers
life's a journey.
Yeah, it is a journey, and but the conversations have evolved. They're not the same at all, and I'm glad, because what we've talked about in our 20s, we shouldn't have talked about in our 20s, But at the same time, I think that, even talking to my children now, my younger boys, my oldest son is married. I'm so proud of him, period, for everything that he's done. My other son is getting married. He's on the pathway to getting married. I'm not a grandmother yet, but my younger boys,
I want
huh?
I want that bad. But you know what? Whatever my kids decide, it's me.
Oh
But
yeah, I'm in
I'll just say
denial. I'm in denial. So I'm in no rush, but it's not up to me, that part. Maybe
same here.
so my younger boys, I actually told them, I said, listen, I want you to look at, I want you to find some pictures of families. And I want you to look at those families, and I want you to aspire to create your own vision for your own family and stick with that.
Oh yeah.
Having your children with your wife is, if that's part of your vision, then stick to it. instead of having your children with multiple households. You know, marriage is definitely a covenant that is a nucleus that should not be broken. Okay, I'm all for marriage. I always say stick with the family, keep the family together. Was I good at it? I mean, I in my mind, I saw that marriage was very important. You know, my family has all of the men are still married. All of the men are still married, you know. And then there's the women that put their husbands in trunks at one point. But my thing is, I see that, you know, we have our number one, our birth rate is dropping, but also
Why do you think it is?
why our birth rate is dropping?
Yeah, why do you think it is?
Social media. These kids don't know how to be social. You know, you got to get together to get something going. You know
No,
what I'm saying?
I no, I mean, from here's the thing. Well, and you were saying about like marriage and the vision and everything.
Mhm.
That can be a slippery slope too, because then you're setting up expectations. I think too, in any relationship, to me, marriage is a not just it's not a commitment. It's a it's a loyalty. It's a pact between two people. And
Why?
it's
What you
saying,
say? It's not a
okay,
commitment.
no, I don't define it as a commitment. You know, I obviously you're committed, but what I'm saying is I don't define it as a commitment. I say I believe it's a loyalty. It's like um it's a unity, and it's the one decision in life that you make, and you say, okay, it's forever. You know what I mean? Like I want to spend a life journey with you. But my point was what you said before in regards to that vision and setting that up, and yeah, that's the idealism. And vision is awesome, but I think, and it's kind of, my son taught me this. He was like, after a very long heartbreak, he was like, I had to look at myself and say, I need to offer that person, going back to what you said, and what do I have to offer someone in a relationship? And I have to be ready at that point before I get into a relationship. And he consciously waited for the opportunity, meaning to give the opportunity for when he was ready. And I think that's the thing, looking at yourself and saying, I am going to adhere to these things. And these are the things where I will not endure. So it's like, I'm going to make a commitment to myself. And let's say if we get into an argument, I'm going to make sure that I'm sitting there and I'm listening to that person. And I'm going to make sure that we're both discussing it. We're not fighting it. I'm going to make sure that, I give myself a day to be patient and kind. And we never go to bed angry or think like certain things that you commit to, you have to hold up to yourself. You have to hold yourself accountable for. And it's kind of like this, like my parents, they discuss their relationship, and they, just like my son with his girlfriend, they're his partner, they made agreements going into the marriage, going into relationship, saying, okay, if our kids are ever sick, I don't care if they're lying or not, I'd rather be wrong than be right and not take them to the doctor. They go to the doctor no matter what, they get their teeth done, their health comes first. Our kids, everything comes first in that way. And I mean, they're coming from a different generation, but they had a very good relationship for, I mean, in a whole, probably 90% of their relationship was really good, and they were family. Family comes first. And, so I think there's commitments you make to yourself in that vow to make sure that you adhere to, and to help that, like, again, like I said, to be patient, to be kind, to be understanding, empathetic, those things. And I think in today's society, it's hard because I believe the kids are becoming more aware, and they are setting more boundaries, and they're not like my daughter, she's waiting. Like, again, she's working on herself. She's got certain things, not waiting, but she's putting herself first and getting herself situated so she's healthy in the best, highest possible way she can so she doesn't confuse going into a relationship for someone to compensate for areas of her
Right.
that,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? And I think we do that.
That's
And I think
That's
harder now.
understood. Yeah, that's understood. I mean, but it's not always the action taken. Sometimes people use relationships to forget about what they're going through. It's easier to, kind of dump on someone that is, I don't know, that has agreed to listen. As far as for example, um there was a time when we had a discussion when I was teaching. We were talking about the dating apps. And so many of my students have been on dating apps, and it was like unheard of for us because, well, there were no apps when we were their age. But at the same time, dating apps it almost equaled disastrous experiences. And now people are actually getting married from being on dating apps. And one of the discussions were, how do you know if the person is who they say they are? Well, they are who they say they are, but you still have to get to know them, because if you had 30 seconds to give your elevator pitch on why I should pick you, you're not
Yeah,
going to list all the bad stuff. You're going to tell me all the good stuff as to why I would be a good fit for you, even if you're not a good fit for me. So
I
they're
going
not.
back to the job interview.
Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead. I'm sorry. The interview process, right? Going back to the interview process. So, and that's the resume. So, you know, and a lot of times, my students would, talk about, well, there's horror stories, and it's like that's that's not always the case. They're not horror stories. What it is poor vetting. Okay, so
Yeah.
if you're not vetting properly, then you will have a bad experience.
Yeah, but the problem is, this was the problem. This is the problem through all generations. Is you're not even given the ample amount of time to vet. Like, I mean, it's just because i- a lot of relationships are short lived.
Mm. How
Meaning
they're like
that's
Hollywood
short-
relationships, huh?
what?
Hollywood relationships? The
Yeah, right.
short ones, yeah.
Like the courtship can be short, especially for younger people. But like, let me ask you questions. So let me ask a question. Okay, thinking about your relationships, right?
Go ahead.
And in general, why do you laugh?
I said we're back to me, huh?
Yeah, we're back to you.
I'm
No,
trying
I'm
to
at you
I'm trying
in
to stay
general.
out of it. But go ahead.
You in general. Think about your relationships.
Uh-huh.
Were you? Can I ask you something? Like, to me, I definitely more empowered when I was single. But then again, I had a very long relationship. I was more empowered when I was single than when I was. I mean, no, I can't empowered in different ways. You know what I mean? Um, I did achieve a lot while I was together, when I was married and everything, but dated. But I did that because out of it was very stressful. You know, it was like more of a survival mode than anything. Whereas I feel more myself and everything single. You know, so were you look at your relationships and between being in a relationship and out of a relationship? Did you feel that you had more personal freedom when you were in a relationship or out of a relationship?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, but for me, personal freedom, I'm gonna have that regardless.
Well, no, like the freedom, like no interference in making choices and decisions.
Well, I don't know what that's like. So now I have to pull back my answer because I don't know what that's like. I've been a mother for I'm not going to say how many years, but I've been a mother more than half my life. So I don't know what it's like to do things based on not considering someone else.
Well, let's put it this way. Like, did you consider when you're in the relationship, did you consider the partner's preferences or needs before yours? Or did you consider it more on a level thing? Like,
Okay, yeah. I needed a short bus description on that question. Um, yeah, I would
just
probably,
be honest.
okay, I'm guilty. I like making people happy.
Okay.
I like being, oh, I like making people happy, comfortable. I like making people feel appreciated. And I may, like I said originally, remember I said I would put myself on the back burner. So there's your answer. But it doesn't mean I'm gonna walk around unkept. You know, it just means that I'll get around to it. I'll get around to doing what I need to do for me, or I'll take care of it at some point. It won't go undone, but I just like making people happy.
Okay, so let me ask you another question. Okay, so let's say we all have our journey, right? We've been through experiences, and those experiences, some of them we carry with them just because they make who we are now, right? And
Mhm.
some of them can be painful, joyful, everything. There's all different ones, right? So we all need to heal because whenever we heal, right, our scars make us more beautiful, right? And so, do you feel that most people are, or yourself, um, you were able, in or out of relationship, be able to focus on your emotional well-being and heal without like it being complicated? And was that person there for you to do that? Going back to the vulnerability, do you believe that?
I think that you have to be mature enough or at in a space where you're ready to emotionally heal, period. With or without someone. The one thing that I
But don't you, do you feel your partner should be a part of that if you're together and be supportive of that and be there for you to help you heal? Like, I'm not going to watch you bleed out. I'm going to run to you and I'm going to be like, okay, we need to fix this.
Well, see, it
Like,
depends on what type of healing it is, because if I'm still trying to heal from the last person, I shouldn't be with the next person. If I'm trying to heal from a death in my family, that's different. You know what I'm saying? So it just
well, that's
depends.
not, yeah, I'm talking about, yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're not healed from the past relationships and that person can be there. Let me tell you something. I know I'm not going to put it out, but I know somebody who's in a very healthy relationship and they help that person heal from a last relationship. And it's a
Yeah.
very healthy relationship they have. So to me, that's awesome.
Yeah. That would be awkward for me. Um, I am
Depends on what they're healing from too.
right. That's why I said it just depends on what the pain is from. If I'm laying on the floor bleeding from someone who dumped me, I don't expect you to help me through that. That's something I have to heal through. But if I'm laying on the floor, uh, bleeding from, the death of my grandmother uh or something, such as that, then I don't expect someone to help me through it, but I certainly don't want to be, if I reach for that person's help, then it means I really need it, cuz I'm not one to ask for help. That's a problem. Okay? I am flawed in that area. And if I don't ask for help, it's because I think I can do it on my own. But if I ask for help and I don't receive it, that's where the disappointment kicks in. So I think, generally speaking, we all want to be consoled. I try to be tough enough where I don't need to be. And that that's not even healthy. So, long story shorter, we are raised as women to be strong. We're raised to be strong, but we have to learn how to not just be women, we have to learn how to be ladies that, have room for someone to step in from time to time.
That's
Yeah.
interesting, because I just saw this quote. I forgot. I don't know if it was a meme or whatever. It was online. I know that.
Yeah.
This young girl, and this guy looked at her and he's like, "Oh my God, you do so much. I can't believe it. Like, look at everything you do." And like, they were partners, and they're like, "How do you do it?" Because he wasn't doing it. And I'm not saying the man woman thing, whatever. It could be any
Yeah.
dynamic,
Yeah.
but she was like, "I learned it. Now learn it." And I was like, "Oh my God, how pathetic!" Like, I learned it. You can learn it too. You know what I
Right.
mean? To me, that was awesome. That was like, why is it? And I mean, you're saying about, as women and wife and mothers and everything.
Yeah.
It's not like people think, like, I don't know. This is my thought. She was proving the point. Like, people think that women, like, it's some weird magical thing. We're born and we give birth, or we're nurturers. Maybe we don't have kids or whatever, but we're the caregivers, right?
Mhm.
And like, we were just born with it. Like that's the unicorn. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're magical, you know? And the truth of the matter is, no. We're like,
Wait,
we
wait,
learn.
I got magical sounds for you, but yeah, I mean, it's
We learned it, you know?
yeah.
And I think that's another thing too in relationships, being able to learn, being able to, you know, I think that's the thing is like when I look at here's a question. What, who, like, you don't have to name specifically who. What was one of the best examples of the healthiest relationship you've seen in your time, in your journey so far?
Oh, healthy. I've seen a lot of healthy relationships. I've been in a healthy relationship. Been in quite a few healthy relationships.
Like long
Um,
lasting that are still together.
yeah. I would say my godparents,
Ah,
definitely. They yeah,
that's they're your godparents. That's the magical part.
right.
Your fear godparents.
Right. They were together until my godfather passed away just recently.
Oh,
Yeah, I would say that was that was a great example. My great grandparents, same thing. They were together until they departed. That my wow. I've seen some healthy relationships. I've been in some healthy relationships.
and did you
Um,
get out of those relationships?
again,
What did you learn from those relationships?
I learned how to have a healthy relationship. Seriously, like no cap. I learned how to have a healthy relationship. I learned it probably helped me set my own boundaries, knowing
Yeah.
what I can achieve and I don't have to go through. And that's what I want, a healthy relationship. I don't want that same relationship per se, but yeah, I learned that I too can exist in a healthy space. And that was in my 20s.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Look through your life. When was the happiest time of your life where you just felt the best about yourself, about like your happiest, like when you see yourself, how you look, you felt everything.
In my 20s. Yep. In my
What
20s. I remember having the best job, making really good money. Um I had
I was wait, am I thinking about the same job?
probably
Okay, okay, good. Go on.
I had the best coworkers. It seemed like everything was perfect. You know, I had the nicest car, not a Benz or anything, just what I wanted. I was able to get what I wanted, you know. I bought my house and my whole life was ahead of me. I just knew it was up from here. That was the that was a good time in my life. My kids were happy. I mean, it was probably very unrealistic, but it was
No,
real. But it was
that's
real, you
about
know?
relationships, right?
Yeah,
And
I had
what
go ahead, I'm sorry.
what was the best, and you don't have to name specifically, but have you experienced a relationship that made you that feel the same way, where you were
Oh
able to
yeah.
feel,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
well, was it at the same time?
Yep.
No, I'm talking about after that.
Yeah. No, during that happy place, that was part of it. And actually that brings me to another point because when you are in that headspace, that positive space, you attract who you are. You know what I'm saying? And because I was in that whimsical place, who walked into my life but, you know, more
Yeah,
positivity. So, I would have to say that, you know, you have to be careful about allowing lingering dark clouds around you because if you have dark clouds over you, that's what you're going to attract.
a lot of that is being young, and that has to do with the giving part of us, is because a lot of times we let in people who are not, because it's kind of like I was talking to somebody from my family, and we were at the table, and people criticized me because I helped a lot of people and I gave a lot of things. And I was like, and then we were talking about giving people, and I was like, I finally learned
Mhm.
I would rather give to somebody who really needs it than to give to somebody who is, you know, who can survive through it. You know what I mean? If
Mm.
there's only so much to give, you know, and no matter who they are, and they were talking, I was like, you know, whatever. I don't want to get into that part, but we can let people in because we feel bad for them, and it can come in disguise. They don't really need it, but they come off as they need it. Does that make sense? And then we kind of let some dark people in. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, yeah, but you
see
have
if
to
that
have you have to kind of lean on your spirit of discernment. You have to be able to know who's who's good and who's not.
But
I
I'm saying it affects your happiness, that sometimes when we're going through a really great patch in our life, on our path, and we're really happy, we start to let certain things in, and we don't realize we are letting them in. Does that make sense? And
but see, at this not at this point in my life, because I you have more to lose.
no, I was talking about the example you were giving in your
Oh,
20s.
then
Yeah.
I don't think I let anything bad in. I was nothing that did if it didn't spell addition and multiplication to my life, it subtraction and division had to go. Yeah.
Wasn't it? Oh, okay. So now, when have you felt that way again in a relationship after that?
Um I because it just depends on where you are in your life. I feel like I'm talking to my therapist actually.
I was about to say, this is Edie's interview all the
Yeah,
time.
I thought I was interviewing you.
You got to have your questions ready. You
Yeah,
got to
well, I
give me
mean, I did. I was just having general conversation, Um, for
but
me, I've
relevant, because you should. Here's the thing: you take the ideal moment when you were happiest, and that's what we strive for in life, to be our happiest.
it's almost like
So using you
being taking a drug. I mean, seriously, it's like taking a drug and chasing that high, and that's not realistic. And
that,
I
that is
it's
realistic
not
to be
realistic, not to me, okay?
of yourself.
No,
Yes,
let me just say this. Some parts of it may be realistic, but the whole thing is not realistic. I'm not going to be, in that same job with those same individuals or with that same person
well, that's
or
oh,
having that many years ahead of me. See, I'm looking at the number of summers and I get this from not I didn't come up with this on my own, right? But as they say, if you give credit about 5 times, then you can take the credit. But I got more summers behind me than in front of me. See, before I knew I could do it. Well, in 30 years, 20 years. Now I'm like, I gotta do this now. Okay. I
well,
don't have time to shuck and jive, as they say. So
I I
yeah.
understand. I'm talking about the feeling that you had. You're not going to recreate a moment in life.
Oh yeah, no.
It's-
I choose to be I
I'm
choose
saying you thrive to be the best version of yourself no matter what.
right.
I hope we all do.
Yeah.
And I think what we're talking, it's not relevant. We're not discussing specific. When I say you, I'm using it as an example for everybody. We all can relate to that. We all want to be happy, and we all want to have that feeling. It's not going to come. You're not going to be 20. You're not going to be, what I mean, again, or whatever. You're where you're at.
Yeah.
But we all strive for that best version of ourselves, and we can feel that feeling
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
That is something pandemic, and it's up to us in the relationship, and we don't find that in someone else.
Right, that
That
part. Now that's what I wanted. That's what I was getting at. I don't want someone to make me happy. That's not realistic. I have to be joyful already. You know what I'm saying? And they can add to my happiness, but I have to be joyful already. Like I am full of joy. Most of my life I've been full of joy. There have been some dark areas, trust me, where I was just like, oh, but I think we all it doesn't matter that we all go through that. I went through it and I know it. But at this point in my life, as long as I am able to kiss my children on the forehead, mend relationships that I may have destroyed, you know, intentionally, unintentionally. I can't think of any intentional relationships I tried to destroy. But, because with the older we get, the more comfortable we are in being ourselves and we're not willing to bend or budge.
which I think is a healthy thing.
Yeah, it can be. But if being who you are affects other people, that's when you have to reevaluate. I don't
Yeah,
mind you being who you are as long as it doesn't affect me. So I have to be cognizant of that. I just do. That's me. That's my perspective. But as
That's what
far
I said. I more self-reflective than that, where it's like, how do I affect people?
Mhm.
I think a lot of people are self-reflective. I think a lot of people are, you know, externally projective.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
think and I think that's part, and that's the thing. Like to me, okay, who is it? Oh, it was Pamela Lee Anderson, and she was like, I just saw this. It was just whatever. It was just a brief like glitch on TV, and she was like, Howard Stern was like, about like falling in love with Tommy Lee again. And she's like, when did I ever fall out of love with him? Like, that's the thing. I think people, that's that unrealistic expectation. You can love or be in love with somebody, not be with them or whatever. It just because it's not healthy, you know what I mean? In a lot of ways. And that's just the way it turned out.
Mhm.
And I think here's the thing, as much as we can't set unrealistic expectations, I think I think being healthy within yourself is being able to accept certain things of others again and set boundaries.
Yeah, those
And
boundaries are your terms and conditions.
yeah, I think my dad always used to say, Edna Marie, you make something a big deal, it's going to be a big deal. And I think that's what we do. That's that, especially when we're younger, there's way more drama. Things are, and they're irrelevant. They're irrelevant. And that's where I'm at in life, or just a lot of people I think who reach at life, is that a lot of things are not a big deal. But then again, I've also learned now that there's a lot of things I didn't make a big deal that should have been a big deal
Mm.
that I accepted and I shouldn't have accepted, you know? And now we were just talking about that. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm just not going to accept that anymore. Oh, hell no. I'm just not going to,
So
you know?
do you think that you are capable of loving again and being in love again?
I'm for sure capable of it.
Do you think that you would accept it if it hit you in the forehead?
Oh, it'd have to be a meteorite for sure. But yeah, for sure. That's basically it. But
Yeah.
there's nothing when I wake up in the morning, there's nothing I think about it. Um, I don't think about like, oh, like if I would meet somebody or like my life, it's really in the present. I live in the present. So if it comes along, yay, you know, that'd be awesome. But
You know, Edie's not on camera, but she is absolutely gorgeous. You know, she's just an amazing woman. And I'm like, I know that you are comfortable being who you are because you've always been Edie. I know you are. You've always been Edie.
I think I think the only thing I struggle with, because I am self-reflective. I Here's my thing. I live life in every moment, making sure, like you said, my actions, I can overcompensate in the way where I don't want anybody to, I never want to do anybody harm. I don't want to, because I just feel that people are going through their own struggles all the time. Everybody's going through something in a certain way, right?
Mhm.
And I just think I want to make it better. I want to, like you said, I want to add to someone's life. And I don't. And I think because we are human beings, we can interpret people differently and do different things. I always am conscientious of not making sure I don't do something, that will affect them negatively. I never want to do that.
I understand.
When people are emotional and things like that, they can. It's kind of like this. My rule of thumb is never say you have to or you should. It's more about listening. And I think relationships are about listening. There's a lot of listening to hear, not to speak. And
Mhm.
that's what I always tell my kids, like, listen to hear, not to speak.
Right. Listening. Some people listen to respond. They're like, oh, 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 I got this. I got this. And it's like, did you really hear what I said? Not really. But yeah, that part. Um,
Actually, they too. I forgot who I said to.
we were reading something, and we'll get ready to close out. We were
Yeah.
reading something that had to do with um how marriage could be a destructive path. And I can't remember what we were reading, but I think the narrative of marriage is kind of 50-50, um, in especially in this day and age, because a lot of people feel like they can do it themselves. They don't need a husband. They don't need a man. That was like in my household. My mother was all about being independent. Like there was no such thing as you need a man.
But
But
you don't.
however, it gets cold at night, okay?
Hey,
And
I'm
let
like,
me just say this. Let me just say this. Okay? When I
yeah.
say it gets cold at night, I mean there are many women out there that were raised to be independent and manless, and they just don't we just don't understand why we have not made ourselves available, or they have not made themselves available to be treated like a lady. Like there's, we got women grabbing their own doors. I got it, uh
Oh, I
you know
like that.
it
I think it depends on the generation. That's a complex issue.
no, cuz see, I watched my father get the door. I've watched,
My father pull up, if we went to the store, he would pull up to the door, drop us off, and go park the car. Everything. We had
right.
corsage and blah blah blah. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And
Where'd that
he
go?
did show us how to. There's nothing wrong with being a gentleman. And thank God, my sons are gentlemen. Thank God, my son was dating a girl, and he literally, we went out for his birthday, and he walked on the outside of the sidewalk.
Right.
He put, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. That's
I think there's nothing
that's
wrong with that.
amazing.
I don't expect that, but I do. If somebody, to me, that's common courtesy, and that's nothing. My parents, I think that's something that's missing. It's consideration, common courtesy.
Mhm.
Like, if your loved one is ill and can't make it to the door, or pregnant, or a child, or let's say, even like, if you and I were together and we were going out and whatever, if we're heading into the restaurant, I'd open the door for you, because that's my way of showing my respect for you, my affection for you as a person. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is, even though we're friends. You know what I mean? I think we do that. I do that to my children. You know what I mean? I do that to my family. I'll just be considerate. It's like bringing your dish to the sink, things like that. It's
Mhm.
common courtesy and consideration, and I think that gets lost in relationships. And that's those messages, those silent messages that are being sent all the time that people don't pay attention to. That goes back to my original thought of saying I'm self-reflective. I want people to know how I feel about them in my life. What, my loved ones and my family and my friends,
Yeah.
because, and that's, actions speak louder than words, and that's where the actions come in. And
Yeah.
that's, I tell my daughter, I tell my kids, watch the waiter, like watch how they treat the waiter, watch how they treat the person, at the stand, at the fast food stand or whatever. Watch how they, when if they open the door for people, and how they talk a person.
Well, I think that sums it up right there. That is so very important, because if you don't get to know a person, how they treat others, then you have no idea what to expect down the road. So I'm going to say thumbs up for, you know, after divorce, giving love another chance. And Edie, what do you say?
And I'm gonna say, I'm gonna go with the flow. I say go with the flow, and what for you will not pass you.
Oh my goodness. Look at you. Well, this is just the beginning of this series, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm LaDonna Raeh, and on the phone we have Edie or Edna. Um, I love Edie is short for Edna for you, Edie. And I know, and you were like, you could just call me Edie or Edna, and I was like, okay, Edie or Edna. Um, but I like that we had this conversation, just in general, because I there was a time when I was like, nope, never. But I had to. I went around the table, the round table. I was at an event, and everyone had to introduce themselves to the table, and it was my turn, and I said, okay, well, my name is LaDonna Raeh, and I'm a wife and mother of four. And I was like,
Mm,
where did that come from? Was I speaking in tongues? And I said, I mean, I'm divorced. I didn't even want to go into all of that. It just came out like, and the lady at the table said, "That's okay, girl. Prophesize." And I said, I think you're right. I think I am a wife and mother. But I've already thought that. I just why am I saying it? It just slipped out. That was weeks ago. I don't So, here's the thing. I want to say to everyone out there listening, if you've been married and divorced, there are don't let the next life pay for what the last life did not hand to you, or the disappointment that came with it. If anything, learn from what mistakes you made. Don't just blame it on the ex. Don't just blame it on his family or her friends and his friends. Do some self reflecting and decide what you did to contribute to the demise of your previous relationship and move forward from there. Now you have your degree in marriage. What do you do with it? Okay. I'm about to get us out of here because we have been talking on this topic way longer than we thought. I thought we were
Right
just
there.
going to talk about it in general. It came back to me, back to me, back. Edie, you
Yeah.
slickster, you. But we will be revealing Edie at some point. Right now, we're going to have some fun with this, and just make sure you make a comment. Tell me what you thought of the conversation. And if you have topics on what to do after divorce, because as you know, like I said, I used to have a show with my ex-husband. It went great till it got too real. And it was like, look, I don't think we should go on the show. But here's the thing. We still co-parent like champs. And make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel at the LaDonna Raeh Show, and make sure that you put your family first. Self-care is important. I don't want to say these things like, I know, I know, I know. No, I'm serious. You really need to execute self-care and all of the family stuff that goes along. Like, we're planning for Christmas. What are we going to do for Christmas? We should have planned for it already. Initially, my grandmother passed away earlier this year, and she was the Christmas bringer. So now we got to take the torch and run with it. So there you have it. Family over everything. And I will talk to you guys next time. Edie, any parting words?
Yeah. Be an example of your happiness to everybody else, and it's just going to come right back to you. But also, I think we have other areas we're going to talk about too, and other things too. So we have a lot of creative things ahead. I think
I
we have a lot
know.
to offer, and let's make it funnier next time.
Funny. Oh, it wasn't funny this time?
I think it. Yeah, it was
I
fun.
guess it wasn't funny. It got real. It got real. Ha ha
Yeah,
ha.
well,
Yeah. All right, guys. See you later. Bye bye for
bye.
now. Oh, wait, we
You.
got music and stuff. Hold on. There we go.
Okay.
Wait, which one is it? Oh, you wanted this. Here we go.